Alright, welcome back to the Crossfire project, and today we are reinstalling our steering wheel bar in with the cage. So that's going to be a lot of unnecessary fun. Stick around and check it out. Alright, because we already have part of the cage in, it'd be a lot more difficult to, next to impossible, to put this in one piece. We're going to actually chop it in half and then figure out how to clearance it to get around the cage, and then once it's bolted back in, we can weld up where we cut it. So let's just get it done with. And there we go. Alright, now I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking that this is taking too much unnecessary effort, but essentially we have to get this behind this post. So we have to come through and cut out a good part of this bracket, and I'm hoping it looks like we just need to come out just right next to the pipe. So this tube should be able to fit right behind the other tube. So that'll be good for less work. So we'll just have to start chopping and test fitting and see where we're at. Alright, so just a little bit of clearancing. And still has the Carmen part number from this factory in Germany. Anyways, that just comes right up in here. Now that fits in there. And we'll have plenty of room that we can actually come through and tie the cage into this bar as well. So that'll be a benefit. So now that we have this in here, it's time to work on the other side. Alright, so we got our bar notched out over on the driver's side, and we got our cut bar here that we ran a sleeve for. So we'll have a pretty decent sleeve. We'll make sure to center that in before we burn it into place. Then we'll just snug up some of these bolts so it doesn't wiggle around on me too much. Right about now, I wish I would have paid attention to where I put all my bolts. Yeah, that'll at least hold it up out of my way. We'll get that guy zapped in there. And then I have this little insert piece that's going to go over here in the side corner here. Get you a better look here. This is where we notched out to make sure everything fit. And then we'll just slide this back in. And zap that into place. Then it'll be a lot closer. We can zap to the bar and we'll be pretty much set. So I'm going to grab the welder and zap this in, and then measure up and zap in the color, and we'll have the drive bar back installed. All right. First of the straight ones are in. These are so much easier than having bends. And it was kind of a good thing that I didn't weld this guy together yet, because I had to take out this leg so I had enough room to slide the bar up. But she's in there nice and level, and you couldn't come any more perfect up to those brackets. So yeah, we're really talking here now. So I'm going to grab the welder and put a couple tacks in there to hold it in place. Then we can come up to this roof bar and tackle that. Alright, so this bar is for the windshield bar, the top one. And I was just wanting to show how I notch things. I didn't splurge for a tubing notcher, since those are kind of expensive, and the cheap ones from like Harbor Freight don't seem to have very good reviews. So I've kind of stayed away from them and relied on something that definitely works. So essentially what I did is, there's tubing notch calculators on the internet, and you can just print off something and cut out the contour, and then you have something that you can wrap around the post. So you wrap it around, match it exactly where you want it to be, and then just like that, for ease, I've just been using a can of spray paint just to hit it. That gives me the line that I need to cut off to. So a lot of those calculators also allow you to program in different angles, so you can tell it that one post is at a 45-degree angle and you're going to intersect it at a 30-degree angle, and it'll print you out a different template to put over and notch. But since these are just straight, they're pretty straightforward and pretty darn easy. So I'm just going to finish notching this one, and then we can try it out in the car. And I found that putting it up in the tubing bender, so it has the contours and everything, holds it in place with its own natural weight. So that makes it pretty nice. That way you can just lift, rotate, set it back down, and it holds it pretty well in place. But I'll finish notching this thing out and see you back at the car. Okay, so here is the conundrum for this stage. We've got our windshield bar right here, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of a gap above it. Now our options would be, if we cut a new bar, we could technically bend it along with the contour, but I'm not a big fan of bending tube, especially when this is one of those main tubes that are supposed to prevent side crashes, bringing the cockpit closer. So what what I'm thinking about doing is we've got plenty of metal. If we come through and just make a piece of plate that can go right up against this thick part of the ceiling roof, and that should stiffen that part up, so in the case of a rollover there wouldn't be any intrusion factor. But I don't know, I'm gonna have to think on this one a little bit. Alright, so we're essentially gonna have a putt come down right about here. And we're just gonna have to dial in a good angle and probably drag it straight back to this back corner here. I'd like to keep it right in a node like that. Let's grab ourselves our tape measure. Alright. Maybe we can put that at 42 if all things good. Alright, so due to the weirdities that we have going on this rail, I've got a couple different options. I could just cut out this ridge and then plate in, but that doesn't necessarily sound like the best choice of options. So I'm just going to weld this piece in here so it gives support to the plate, and we'll just plate in that rail there and hope for the best. This other side over here has more flat spots, so it should actually hold the rail decent enough. So I guess we'll get to welding in the plates and we'll be pretty much set back here. Nice. Alright, so I got the back stays in. Burned them in hard down here, but didn't completely burn it in up top. Majority of that reasoning is when we put the X braces in, this weld is going to be more difficult to weld after the fact than up here. And most likely up here I'm going to have to find a way to weld the backside of it. So I'm probably just going to come up to the top here with like a hole saw and cut a big circle out, so that way I can get the welder in there, and then we can patch that back up. And I'm not worried about body work and that type of stuff, since we had this beat up fender quarter panel. So this whole thing might need a minor respray afterwards. Don't know, we'll see how it rolls. I could possibly just feather that in with some real Chrysler paint, but do that, maybe throw on a couple vinyl stickers or something to hide the fade, but that's kind of what we're looking at. So I think I'm going to call this pretty much an episode. Alright, so that's all the work we're going to do today. We got the back stays in and crossbars. So for the most part we got the straight, easy stuff done. We still have to X the back, and then we have to do the, there needs to be like a roof bar and the door bars. So we'll leave that for another episode. So we'll just leave you off here, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.